Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. This planet hates us. The shuttle's engines hissed a tired sigh as it pierced the thin atmosphere of Gliese 237c, a recently discovered exoplanet orbiting a modest red dwarf. The terraforming crew aboard Genesis 7 had trained for this moment exhaustively. Their mission? To transform this barren world into a new home for humanity, a fresh canvas for life to flourish. Yet, as the shuttle's feet kissed the dusty ground, an eerie stillness wrapped around them, a silence that seemed far too profound and deliberate. Captain Alara Khan was the first to step onto Gliese 237c, her boots sinking slightly into the reddish soil. The air, though technically breathable after preliminary atmospheric processing, felt colder than expected, despite temperatures hovering near Earth norms. She glanced back at her team, broadcasting their data streams to the orbiting cloud hub. Instrument readings confirmed habitability, but something was off. As the days passed, anomalies mounted. Devices meant to measure atmospheric gases, radiation, and magnetic fields worked perfectly, but the neural interface units, designed to monitor crew emotional states for psychological health, registered unexplainable interference. It wasn't just noise. It was active suppression. At first, it was subtle. Lieutenant Mara Chen, the team's psychologist, reported during their daily briefing, "I'm noticing a dampening effect on crew emotions. Basic happiness metrics are down by 30%, stress and anxiety levels remain low, which seems counterintuitive given the pressures of the mission." Alara frowned. "Are you saying the planet itself is calming us?" "No. It's more like it's deadening us." "Not calming, exactly. More like it's numbing." This stunned the group. The planet was altering their emotional baseline, inhibiting responses essential to human experience. Empathy, excitement, fear, all seemed to fade into neutral gray. Things took a darker turn 3 days later. Dr. Kareem Patel, the lead biologist, was working in the nutrient synthesis lab when his voice, relayed over comms, faltered. I'm not sure how to explain this. The plants we're trying to cultivate, they're dying despite perfect conditions. But not just dying. They're reacting to our presence. It's like they detect us and recoil. Observing from the larger greenhouses, where genetically modified earth flora were planted, Mara observed a pattern more unsettling. The leaves shriveled slightly when she approached, and entire patches wilted during team interactions. The AI monitoring the environment picked up fluctuations in electromagnetic fields around the foliage that synced with emotional expressions, especially negative or intense emotions. "We're not just alien to this ecosystem," Alara concluded grimly, "we're a threat." The planet wasn't just hostile in a physical sense, it was emotionally defensive. They tried to adapt. Alara instructed the crew to minimize emotional display, to maintain professionalism and emotional suppression by will. But the more they forced themselves to be stoic, the more the planet countered. Communication feedback loops began to correlate mood with environmental changes. Crew frustration coincided with sudden gusts of charged particles hitting the base exterior. Moments of joy heralded increased microbial die-offs in nearby ground samples. Expressions of fear preceded minor seismic tremors, unexplainable by geological activity. The biological systems collected suggested a unique, globally integrated consciousness, not singular but a network. It functioned by reading and reacting to the emotional waves of its environment. The planet, in essence, was a living organism with a psychic immune system. Their only contact, an autonomous scout drone released the day after landing, encountered the same phenomenon. As the drone's AI attempted sentient-level processing to map the planet, its circuitry overloaded. The drone stopped transmitting, frozen in the vast red plains miles from the base. "This planet hates us," someone finally muttered, the utterance heavy with fear and resignation. It was not metaphorical. By the end of the first week, the emotional dampening took its toll on the crew. They moved like shadows, their faces drawn and indistinct. The team dynamic fractured. Morale plummeted to dangerously low levels. Even Mara, the psychologist trained to stabilize mind and spirit, was unable to stimulate genuine hope or affection. Alara ran simulations for evacuation but was painfully aware that waiting for rescue was an uncertain hope. The orbiting transport was scheduled to return in 3 months. Abandoning the mission would mean decades lost in humanity's effort to settle new worlds. Then, in a moment of desperation, Dr. Patel proposed wild speculation based on recent data. What if we're trying to communicate with the planet wrongly? Maybe it's not a rejection of us, emotionally, but a rejection of our emotions because those emotions don't fit the planet's own nature. Maybe the planet's consciousness requires a different language to connect. It was a radical thought. Instead of trying to suppress their minds, they attempted to map their own emotional signatures against the planet's responses, creating harmonic patterns through shared breathing exercises, synchronizing heart rates, modulating voice tones. After days experimenting, a breakthrough, a melody, faint but perceptible, began emanating from the soil. The electromagnetic interference softened. What was once a deafening wall of resistance became a whisper, Mara said with cautious optimism. Maybe the planet wants to coexist, but on different terms. Encouraged, they combined their efforts to compose emotional symphonies, blending calm, curiosity, and wonder rather than frustration or dominance. They sent pulses of peaceful intention, harmonic vibrations designed to resonate with the underlying planetary consciousness. Over the next week, the planet's responses changed dramatically. The dying plants began budding anew, their leaves unfurling under the gentle emotional waves. The soil chemistry responded positively. Microbial life flourished in paths where the crew meditated or sang softly. The emotional atmosphere in the base lightened, as though the planet's acceptance buoyed their spirits. But the realization dawned on Alara. This wasn't terraforming in the traditional sense. They were being terraformed, too. The planet reshaped not only its surface but their very internal natures, bending human emotions to its own will. This raised deeper questions. Could humanity survive here without losing the core of what made them human? Would their dreams and hopes be replaced by something alien and inscrutable? Could a new hybrid consciousness, one blending biological, emotional, and planetary intelligence, emerge from this psychic dance? On the final morning before a communication blackout window, Alara stood outside the base, staring into Gliese 237C's crimson horizon. Her heart beat in rhythm with a newfound inner peace, tempered by deep respect and humility. This planet does hate us, not because of what we are, but because of what we tried to bring. It resists our pain, our rage, our despair. It craves balance, harmony, and emotional language we refused to speak. She spoke softly into the recorder. Our mission has changed. We no longer seek to conquer this world but to learn from it. To become part of the symphony. Because here, on Gliese 237C, survival demands surrender, not defeat, but transformation. The vast alien world held laughter and tears foreign and yet strangely familiar. And in its resistance, it offered humanity something more profound than dominance, the chance for communion. For more stories, like and subscribe.